How about filter cleaning for the LCD?
I'll let Amy answer that.
Filter cleaning is still something that's being sort of sorted out. The idea of these projectors, part of the reasons these projectors were chosen is that they are supposed to have an extra long life filter. The filters are rated to last for 4,000 hours. Now, that's the spec, that's what they say. I don't have a sense yet of how long they're actually going to last, particularly in chalk environments and things like that. At Las Lomas, they've been running, and we've got some projectors that have been running for 600, 800, 1,000 hours, and they're okay at this point. So what we're hoping is that filter cleaning will be part of the summer deep clean custodial process and not something that needs to be done on a more frequent basis. That's the design.
And I think we had another question.
Yeah, my question was, is, you know, I have the document camera there too.
Right.
And so how do I do that? Do I need to walk over there to switch? Are they both plugged in over there, or is that just going to go through my computer to there, or how?
That's a good question. Most document cameras right now are plugged in through the VGA cable, right? Is that how pretty much everyone is? We only have one VGA port. That's usually going to be your computer or your document camera. Some of the good document cameras like this have actually two ports where your computer can plug into here, and I guess and the actual document camera. So you can switch.
Right, that's what I do. I switch there. Yeah.
It should be the exact same way that you used it before. If you don't have that, then if you don't have one of the nicer ones that have two ports, then yeah, you are going to have to switch VGA whenever you want to use document camera. Or the other option is actually plugging in through the video port, which is this cable here. And I think all of them come with either VGA or this port. People prefer the VGA because it's a little more higher quality. So, oh, one thing I did want to mention, with the microphone, there's actually a separate volume on this thing. So, I'm actually holding down the volume button. It should click. It's going lower. It's going higher. So when I talk through this thing, you know this volume does not control this microphone. That's very important. So it's an independent volume. So this thing is all the way up and then all the way down, and my volume doesn't change at all. It's only this volume control that works in.
Is that only for the microphone?
Yeah.
And the camera.
And the camera.
Big brother.
Exactly.
So you showed how you could freeze something, the kids could see maybe the assignment is projected, but then you could still be working on your computer. Is there a way you can show a video and still be working on your computer?
Video, no. If you're showing the video from your laptop, no. There's no.
What if you're showing it from a another device like a DVD
If it's on another
player?
device, you would just switch the input. So, like, I still have a DVD player going. I just switch to the right input. It goes, and then your computer has nothing to do with it, so you can go on your computer and do whatever you want. But if you're playing the video through your computer, no. It only freezes one image.
And we're actually getting rid of DVD players because you can play a DVD in your computer.
Right.
And we're not buying any more DVD players at this time.
That's actually wrong. That means that teachers cannot do work on their computer if they're showing a DVD.
Correct.
Unless they have a second computer.
The real purpose for HDMI is just, it's higher quality. It's 1080p, so it's the highest definition out there currently. And it should last you quite a few years. And that's pretty much where all the industry is moving towards HDMI, or something very similar.
And while you showed at the beginning the various cables, it's not really something a teacher has to worry about. You're going to have it all set up.
Yeah, sort of the division of work is that Decotech is responsible for getting everything that you see right now set up. The actual cabling to the individual devices is going to be worked through Terry, is my understanding. It needs to be done on site, Terry or
So
site tech
Extron's going to
staff or-
install it and not connect computers?
That's correct. Yeah, the
Okay, that's
computer
different
connection
than what
has
we
to be done.
understood.
The computer connection has to be done, or device connection is done on our end. So what's happened is that Terry will be given a set of equipment, and we can continue to revise this if this is useful to you, but Terry will be given a set of equipment including cables, and the actual physical connection to the computers is going to be done by
But it's
us.
not necessarily Terry, it could be Christian.
That's
It-
correct?
In previous schools, like Las Lomas and Kaplan, it was a tech that did it. correct?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Christian.
Right, because, I mean, you know,
So,
We have a department that has a stockpile of VHS tapes. You can hook a VHS into this too, can't you?
you would use a composite cable, that yellow and
Right, right.
VHS is only
I
uses,
already had that.
you would use this cable right here.
Yeah.
and one hope is that the V-Brick system, which will be implemented probably next year, will absorb those VHS tapes into online content, that then it will run that way. That's a ways down the pike, but that's the plan for dealing with those VHS.
That's pretty exciting because you can electronicalize all your old VHSs and just view it through a webpage.
Very neat.
For turning off, we just turn that top box off and that's all we can turn
Yes,
on.
these will actually stay lit as long as, these lights will always stay lit as long as it detects input into it. So yeah, if I go ahead and just shut it off, these should stay lit. That's actually a very good indicator of whether you have video going through it. It's pretty good troubleshooting too. So if those green lights aren't on, then you know that video is not reaching that point. There's something wrong with the device maybe.
And as far as plugging your computer in, is that all you do? You just, nothing that
If
can
it's
come
a-
back out again? Or we have to have two outputs from our computer, one to our monitor and one to the,
Actually, it's, you're very right. The computer only has one VGA port. If you use that VGA port into the Extron system, you have no monitor on your desk. There's another VGA cable that's gonna have to come out from there. There's actually two VGA ports, in and an out. So you would have your computer go in to the top port, and then out back to a monitor that you have on your desk.
You could just use a live version.
Huh?
You could just use a live computer.
Why would work too? Yeah, either way.
and you don't need to have that on to see your
No,
monitor.
we do not. I'm gonna warn you, some devices that I've played around with, like iPads and iPods. iPads have a connection, a composite connection, they sell that, or a VGA connection. So you go to the iPod connector, I actually have one. So you have a cable, something like this. This is an iPod like dock connector. You plug this into your iPod or your iPad, and then you would go into the Extron system using these cables. These are just composite cables. They just look fancy, or even from Apple. You would think the iPad and iPod would work like a monitor. It does not. The iPad and the iPod will only project video that's purchased, I believe, through Apple, through iTunes, and photos. Any uploaded photo will project through there.
Keynote, you can project Keynote, I believe, too.
Yeah, their presentation software too, yes. So if you have some kind of third-party application, like for teaching or whatever on your iPad that you want to project through this, it's not going to work.
One model we're experimenting with, and it's still being researched, is using software that would sit on top, or an app, that would sit on top of an iPad, that would allow you to control your desktop computer, potentially even mark on your desktop computer, sort of the same type of notion as an inner right panel. So the idea would be that you'd be able to use your iPad to walk around the room, potentially even give it to a student, and they would be, you know, writing on a PDF file that you have displayed on your computer, if that makes sense. Kind of the same model as a smart board or, you know, the smart notebook and smart panels. It's being worked out.
I do always like to mention because that's a very popular question, like what if I have an application I want to project through there, and they don't work.
Even purchased through iTunes apps, they just don't.
No, only videos and photos, I believe. And I think, if I'm correct, the movie that you want to play has to be purchased through iTunes, through iTunes. If it's purchased through another manufacturer and loaded to your iPad legally, it will not work, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I just did a little research before I came out here, and that's what it seemed like.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can connect your iPod and listen to music.
Right. So you do need a cable much like this. It's a headphone to headphone jack.
Oh, I see.
Headphone to headphone. It's actually, if you want to buy these are stereo. Headphone to headphone. You can buy it from anywhere, but I don't know if it's from provided by the district. If you did want to plug your iPod into the system, you would. There's several of them. There's one here and there's one here. Make sure you plug into here and you switch to the correct input, okay? So,
I've done it with my computer too, with iTunes, and just connected up the the iPod to
Use the same cable.
computer. No, I didn't use that, I just had it directly coming out of my computer, but it went through the speakers.
Yeah.
So I sort of bypassed that one, and just sort of connected up to the computer, and used the PC input for it, and it worked out just as fine. So either way, I guess would work.